No opening comments, so fire away. Get 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Thanks.
Good to see y'all. Everybody good?
Good. Well, Kirby, what about it? What, 14, 15, 16 guys NFL's looking at? Just your thoughts on having this kind of collection of talent and NFL personnel here?
Yeah, I wish I had some coming back. So I wish they could come back and play for us again, but unfortunately they can't. So I'm excited for them today. We broke our own personal record of 122 NFL personnel here today. Got about 5 or 6 head coaches, more than we've ever had. So luckily we have a new team meeting room that we're able to house these guys in. They've been very complimentary of our kids, the leadership of our players, the knowledge. I know several head coaches were here last night and sat down and watched tape with our players and went through each one by one. Really impressed with their football knowledge. But they're great people too, so I'm excited for these guys. A couple guys that hadn't got to work out yet, Fitz is here today. He's not able to work out, but he didn't get to go to the combine. Julian, obviously, and excited for these guys.
Following up on Fitz, a guy that played hurt this year. What did that say about Fitz that he made that sacrifice for the team?
Yeah, he's a guy that probably needed surgery about halfway through the year. He chose not to have that surgery. He wanted to play out the year. He did that. Did a really good job for us. The good news is he'll be healthy for all the mini camps and all the OTA days wherever he gets to go. But he's bulked up some. I think he's jumping 265. They want him to be able to play Y, so he's added some weight, and he hopefully will get to work out maybe in April for some teams later on when he's healthy.
Coach, talk about the fact that this happens when you do what you've done the past 2 years, and the fact that this is one of the spoils of accomplishing what you've accomplished.
Well, the credit goes to these kids. You know, they made the decision to come to school here. Our job is to develop them and make sure they're better people when they leave. And I think each one of these kids would tell you they're more successful because the work ethic they were able to achieve here. And we had some really good coaches to help coach them up, and some really good players to help play. And I think it's very unique to have this kind of collection of talent. You don't have that every year. It's not every year you're going to have 14 guys at the combine. It's just tough to do, and I'm proud of this group, though.
Is there a reason why Nakobe didn't run here today? Do you know much about that?
He has a pec strain, so he was getting ready for the combine, and he was doing a lot of bench press, and he strained his pec. So he hasn't been able to train as much. He's going to do some position drills and things, but that's a decision that he has to make, and I think he's made the best decision.
Coach, we talked about yesterday, hard work. This is the fruits of their labor. I mean, what does that sell to the kids that are coming up behind these guys?
Well, I think as you look up there, a lot of our kids like to try to miss class today to watch all this, and that's always a concern of mine. Is we tell them today is probably the most important day you go to class, and when you get out, you can go cheer for your brothers and cheer those guys on. But we've all been there before. I was a player. You wanted to watch all those guys ahead of you. You aspire to do what they're doing, and it's an exciting day for them. I'm just very thankful we've got this facility to hold it in, because had it been 8, 9, 10 years ago, you know, we'd be outside this weather, and that would be unfortunate for these kids.
From a recruiting standpoint, how much does this put publicity here with all the teams and the success you guys had a combine team for you?
It depends on how much kids watch it, right? So one thing I've learned is you think that all these kids watch it, and you bring a recruit in, and he's like, well, I spend most of my time on social media looking at other recruits. You know, so we want to push what these guys have done out, what they've been able to achieve, the amount of NFL personnel in here. We want that out there because we want kids to see that. You know, we're one of the few schools in the country that we're open to the NFL teams whenever they can come. We want them to be here to watch our players. And a lot of coaches don't like doing that. They're not comfortable with that. But for us, we want our players to get seen, get evaluated, and be able to put their best out there. And I think that's helped these guys be comfortable in front of NFL personnel, because it's not the first day they've done it.
When you talk to these NFL personnel, I mean, is there one, I guess, overarching characteristic that they see in all of your guys?
I don't know. I think every guy's different. I think there's been a lot of accolades given to this group, especially defensively, and even the 2 backs. The biggest thing that sticks out is the way they play on tape. You know, like pops on tape. They play really hard. They play really physical. They know they're coming from a very structured environment where they have to be on time, attentive, work hard. It's not easy. And when the kids tell them it's not easy, I think these NFL personnel like that because they want it to be tough.
I think a lot of the guys at the combine said meetings are run like the NFL, practices run like the NFL. I guess one, how much of a conscious effort is that? Two, how much do you think prepares them for days like today and their future in the league?
I don't think any coach that's the head coach of college football would say that it's not that way at their place. You know, nobody's going to say that it's not that way. We try to mimic ours off what's best for us. And what we did last year might not be best for us this year, but our kids do have a standard they have to execute to. And there's a discipline still within the program where you better dress the right way, you better behave the right way, you better do the right things in order to be successful. And we think the off-field discipline helps us have discipline on the field, and we try to sell that to these guys.
How important is NFL draft success to keeping these programs successful?
It helps. I mean, certainly, right? You're going to sell the next Jordan Davis on Jordan Davis. You're going to sell the next George Pickens on George Pickens. So that helps sell it. But ultimately, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of organization.
Coach, can you talk about Jordan Davis and some of the changes he's been making as he gets ready for the league?
Changes?
Like with his weight?
Yeah, I think, going back to SEC media days, Jordan weighed 330. So it's not like there's major changes there. He played throughout the season probably in the 350 range. He played the national championship game around 340. He was somewhere in 340, 345. So I think a lot's been made about that. But when he maintained his weight, he was at the weight he's at now. And he has had some fluctuations in there. But he also came in 315 pounds. He was going to put on weight, muscle when he got here. He did that. And he's done a good job managing that.
Kirby, how much do you think Nakobe's work ethic and example kind of rubbed off on the other guys in the inside linebacker room?
Well, he's a year younger than them, so all those guys were here a year before him. I certainly think his character and competitiveness, all of them, to get on the field in that room, you had to be on it. And it raised the standard, it raises the bar. It's kind of what we're missing now. We don't have this depth where guys are having to compete. Some guys have just inherited jobs. In that linebacker room, you didn't inherit anything. You had to work. I mean, Monty said a lot of that for all those guys. He set a standard of excellence in workout. Monty learned it from Roquan. So it gets passed down all the way through.
How important is it to see Julian Rochester work out in his 6th year, and just what does that tell the younger guys? Never give up,
Yeah, I'm just happy for Julian to be healthy. He's worked really hard to be healthy. He's had a couple ACLs. He's a kid who's been through a lot here, but he's never wavered. He's a great leader for us last year. He's a leader in the locker room. He helped shape Jordan and Devontae's work ethic, so I'm happy for him today.
Do you believe Jordan can be a 3-down lineman?
Absolutely. He could have been a 3-down player here. It's more about conditioning, and when he's at his top level conditioning and his best weight, he can play on 3rd down. We've got pass rush ability out of the guy. We didn't ask him to do that because we had the luxury of a Jalen Carter and a Devontae White and a Trevon to go in there and do it. And he did it for us in practice all the time.
Is that something, like you said, his weight? I mean, what do you feel like the weight is for him that he can be that 3-down?
Depends on how teams are using him. If they're going to use him for every down pass rush and things, he's probably going to need to stay between 325, 335. If he's not going to be that guy, he's going to stop the run guy, so you put faster guys on the field, then he probably needs to be 345, 355. But the teams will make that decision.
About the jump for Devontae Wyatt into the first round. We're hearing now first round projection. Did you see that before your eyes from last season to this season?
He's had that talent. I think we're all optimistic for Devontae. He's a great kid. He's homegrown from Atlanta. I think Trey Scott's done. Nobody gives Trey Scott enough credit for the work he's done. Not only with all of them, but really Devontae, because Devontae has come the furthest from a natural talent standpoint. I mean, this guy decided to stay an extra year, and he didn't have to do that. And it's paid off for him in terms of maturity and moving up the draft board.
Trayvon Walker is obviously a workout freak, but we look at the DN numbers here. They don't always translate to sacks, and yet it's an important position. Can you explain what that DN does, why that's such a hard and special position on your defense?
Well, it's what they ask you to do a lot of times, right? I mean, he didn't just line up and rush on the edge. There's several NFL scouts that say, hey, you just line him up at outside backer and let him set an edge. He's going to be tremendous at that. He's really strong. He's really fast. But that's not what we ask him to do. We ask him to do a lot of different things. And his value comes, like you said, in workouts. He's a freak. He's got great length. He's an incredible athlete. And he's going to be a high draft pick.
What did George Pickens have to do to have the combine that he did? Surprise people with his speed that were kind of doubting how quick
he trained. He trained hard. You got to remember, George has kind of been training for this all year because he wasn't with us for most of the year. He was rehabbing his a knee and doing a lot of sprints. Well, that correlates with running at 40. And we were happy to get him back when we did. He helped us, but he also helped himself because he was able to get on the field and get some tape.
Last question.
Georgia's defensive line and inside linebackers are well represented here today. How much do you think it helps those players development that they've had Trey Scott for their entire time here?
A lot of continuity. I think that helps. I think the same thing at linebacker with Coach Schumann. That stuff helps. We're going through some transition now, but when you hire good coaches that want to teach, that happens pretty quick. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Tim.
Can't believe you cut us